I'll start with a simple classic, vanilla icebox cookies. And it's not that there's a particular technique with icebox cookies, it's about the fact that you make the dough, then you chill the dough before you bake it. So let's get right into making that dough. So I'll start with a cup of butter, which I do like to weigh just simply because it's tidier. I'll set this aside for a second. And I use a combination of icing sugar and granulated sugar for this recipe. So a cup of icing sugar, and I'll sift that in. I need half a cup of granulated sugar. And I'll grab my eggs. That's nice and smooth. So now for a single egg and an egg yolk. I'm going to save the white because I'll use that for my chilled dough. You'll have to stay put to see what I'm using that for. Mix the yolk first and then add the whole egg as it's mixing. There we go. Now for some vanilla. And because this is a simple cookie, it's all about the singular flavor of vanilla, I'm going to use vanilla bean paste. That way you see the speckle of the seeds throughout the cookie. Now to add the flour, 2½ cups of all-purpose flour. One of the characteristics of an icebox cookie is that it doesn't have baking powder or baking soda. When you bake an icebox cookie, it holds its shape. I will add half a teaspoon of salt, though. There we go. The flour has been blended in completely, so now I can stop mixing the dough. Cover this with plastic wrap and into the fridge. Now I'll drop the dough just in little pieces down the plastic wrap. I learned to make icebox cookies from my grandmother, and she was my baking inspiration. She would make a version of this with cherries and walnuts in it at holiday time. I absolutely adored them. Use the plastic wrap to shape the dough, because it is, of course, so soft. These can be anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches across. And now it's time to let them just chill in the fridge. And if you want to bake these on the same day, it takes at least 2 hours to chill the butter, setting up the dough so you can slice and bake it. But the whole point of icebox cookies, I find, is to make ahead. Make them a day ahead, 2 days ahead. You can chill them, you can even freeze the doughs. I have a batch that I've already given time to chill. Now, before I get to slicing the cookies, I want to give them a little polish with a little decorator sugar on the outside. That egg white I saved from the yolk within the recipe, I'm just going to whisk a little bit to loosen it. And then have on hand with a pastry brush, grab a piece of parchment and sprinkle decorator sugar on the parchment. Now I'll brush the outside of the roll of cookie dough with the egg white, and that will cause the sugar to stick without it dissolving. If I were to use water, the sugar would dissolve in the water. There we go. I'll do it with the second log. And now to slice the cookies. Just about 1/4 inch thick is ideal. And arrange them on your baking tray. You just need enough space for the heat of the oven to get around the cookies. These are ready for the oven, and because they're so small and delicate, they only take 10 to 12 minutes in a 350 oven. I have some already baked and cooled, and I let them cool on the baking tray. This is what I like about icebox cookies. They barely brown, even on the bottoms. And they just are so crisp and lovely. They have that gentle snap, and it's a perfect addition to a cookie tin or cookie plate.